We're live. We're live. All right. How is everyone doing? How's everyone doing? Thank you for joining me again in another live stream. We're going to have so much fun. I have so much planned for this session. I'm going to say it right away. We are not going to go for 3 hours this time. I think last time I got a little bit carried away. Maybe a little bit carried away. All right. People in the chat already. I love it. Clifford, I'm gonna call you Clifford. Oh, that's a great picture of a squirrel. Good morning, good evening from the UK. Hi, how you doing? How's your day going so far? Huh? So far, so good. Excellent, amazing. I hope you're having a fantastic day today, and thank you for joining me on another stream. Let me see. I'm gonna try to keep up with the chat. Last time. This is the thing. Last time I was pretty much starting a live stream out of nowhere. This time I think I'm a little bit more prepared, but we'll see. Anyway, so what are we going to do today? That's a big question. What are we going to do today? First of all, if you're new here and this is your first stream, a little bit of background on what we did last week. We created an entire project from scratch using Filament version 3. And this project is a pet clinic. So we created a pet clinic, at least the basics of it, where we can create and edit both pets and owners, as well as appointments for those pets. So that's where we ended up. Nice. Clifford again saying nice volume this week. I know. I watched the stream last week and I thought I have to put up the volume a little bit. So I did a little bit of research. I did a little bit of configuration, and turns out all you need to do is add some filters to your microphone, and even this crappy $15 microphone can sound even better. And speak up. That's another important thing. And yes, all good here. You seem happy too. Enjoy last week's stream. Watch it back on replay through the week. Thank you so much. The reception of last week's stream has left me with happiness. Yeah, I'm happy. I didn't know. Honestly, I thought I was going to stream to this much people. And when I finished and I saw that 77 people showed up, I was in heaven. I was so happy, and it just gave me the energy to do another one. So yeah, that's what we're doing today. Thank you so much for your comments. And okay, so where were we? What we did last week. So we created, let me show you what we did last week, actually. So let me open my browser, and this is where we ended up last week. We have a basic pet clinic with appointments, owners, and pets. The thing that we didn't get to last week was making sure that when we have pets or when we create pets, we add files for those pets, for the avatar, so that we can see that cute little face. Who's a good girl? Yes, you are. So we created this, we created pets, and we have avatars for pets. So what do we need to do? First of all, we need the ability to remove pets. So we can remove records from the database. But since we are adding files for those pets, it is our responsibility, not Filament's, to delete those files. And that's what we are going to cover first today. And the other thing that I wanted to do, not so much implement it, but I just want to make sure that if a pet has appointments and I remove that pet, the appointments will go away as well. That's set up in the database. I just want to make sure that it works. So always check your work. Very important. And lastly, I want to switch the primary color. Not a very I'm not a big fan of amber, which is the default, so I want to switch it out to a blue primary color. But that's going to be the easiest thing. So yeah, let's begin. Let me switch back to Visual Studio Code. And where do we start? First of all, yeah, we need to delete pets. We need the ability to delete pets. To do that, we're going to open the pet resource. And this pet resource is located in App Filament Resources, right here. If the size is okay, let me know. If it's too small, I can probably take it up one more. Zoom in one more. But I think this one might be, I think this is the zoom that I used last week. So I'm going to stay there. But if you guys need to zoom it up, zoom up a little bit more, just let me know. Let me see. Polaco noob. Go white and green. Go white and green. It also looks clean and good. White and green. I didn't think of that. That's a good idea. We'll try it out. We'll try the blue and then we'll try the green, and maybe we can have a poll in the chat, see which one do you guys like better. All right. But that's going to be the last. Let's take care of the important things first. Well, not that the color is not important, but let's make sure that we don't have lingering files in our server just causing a lot of clutter. All right. So we are in the pet resource. First thing that we need is to add a delete action. This is in the table function, the actions array, and let's add one more. Making sure that I'm not, yeah, okay. Last time I was doing some coding and I didn't share my screen, and I'm very aware this time. So one more action. Tables, actions, delete action. Save, go back to the browser and refresh. All right, so we have the ability to delete pets. Now let's create one more pet just so that we can delete it. And I have a few photos here. Let's go with Whiskers. Whiskers is 1 year old. Obviously a cat. And the owner, let's say that it's John. I'm not a cat person. I know some people are, but not me. I'm a dog person. That's not why I chose him. He offered to be the guinea pig in this case. So we can create him, delete him. So we talked about it. It's okay. So we create Whiskers, and let's just make sure that the file is there. I know it is, but let's just give it a look. If we go to storage, app, public, and indeed we have two files. And the second one, I believe, no, that's Lola. This one's Whiskers. Begins with H2Q. So what we need to do now is when we delete this record, the file has to go away as well. How do we do that? Let me show you. In the delete action, we can tap into the life cycle hook of the delete action. And we do that by simply adding or chaining one method called before. This method receives a callback function. And in this callback function, we can inject the model that we are working on right now, which is the pet. We can call this whatever we want. Logic calls to call it pet. In my mind, I always like to call it record. It's just a mind reminder for me that I am in a lifecycle hook and I'm dealing with a record in an action. But you can call it pet if you want. Now in here is where we delete the file. Now, how do we delete files? We are going to use the storage Illuminate support facades storage. We're going to use this facade, and in this facade we have a method called delete, and this is expecting the path of the file. But how do we know what path to give this file? Well, Laravel by default has in its default configuration the root folder for the local. Let me collect my thoughts. By default, Laravel has the local file system configured. That means that we are dealing with files not in an S3 server, but in our local file system. Also, by default, the configuration dictates that the root folder where the storage facade is going to look for files, it's in storage app. How do you know that is the default? You can check the configuration file in config file systems. And if we go to disks local, you can see that we are using the local driver, and the root is the storage path, which is basically just a storage folder. And within that folder, we have a folder called app. So when we say delete here in the pet resource, when we call delete, this, if we just say file name dot png, for example, this storage facade is going to look for that file in storage app. Okay, that is by default. But we know that the file that we're looking for is not in the storage app folder, but it's in storage app public. Okay, so all we need to do is say public to refer to that public folder, and then use the pet record to grab the file name, which is in record avatar. Simple as that. So before Filament deletes the record, it's going to call this callback function, and we are going to call the delete method on the storage facade, and we are going to say delete the file with the file name stored in avatar within the public folder. And then once that's done, Filament continues with the action of deleting the record. So let's give it a try. And see? I'm not sharing my screen again. Oh my God. Okay, so all I'm doing here is calling the storage delete method, and the configuration file I was talking about, again, it's in config file system .php, and in the local disk we have the root folder, and that root folder points to the storage path, and within that storage path a folder called app. I know. It's tough because I'm not looking at OBS or my live stream. I'm looking at chat that's covering the screen, and I have to make the habit of, if I go back to just camera, I have to remember to go back to the screen. But thank you for the reminder nonetheless. I'm getting better. So yeah, this is the default path, which is storage app. And in the pet resource, we are just tapping into the before lifecycle hook, and we are saying storage delete. This will go to the default root of that we just saw in the configuration file. And within that root, which is storage app, there is a public folder, and within that folder, we just use the record avatar, which is the pet, to get the file name. Let's go back to the browser and make sure that that is working. So we have whiskers, and we delete whiskers, confirm, record is deleted. And if we go back to VS Code and then take a look at the storage folder, yeah, we only have one file, and that's for Lola. Perfect. So file handling, check. What's next? Nothing that needs to be implemented. Technically, it's already implemented, but I just want to make sure that it works. And it's this. If we check the migration file for appointments, which is create appointments table, we have this cascade on delete. That means that when the parent record is removed, all of the child records are also removed. And this is database stuff. I just want to make sure that that is the case. To do that, we just have to bring back whiskers. Like so. Still a cat. Belongs to John. Would it be better to have the avatars go to a subfolder of public than clog up the folder with mixture of other files? Yes, it would be. And the only thing that we would need to do is when we upload the file, we just have to specify which folder do we want. And yes, it is a good idea. For this project though, since we are only going to have, no one else is going to have avatars, and I don't see myself using any other kind of files, then I'm okay with keeping it in the public folder. But yeah, definitely, if you know that you are going to have an application that is dealing with CSV files, avatars from other users, or anything like that, yes, by all means, split them up into folders so that you don't have to see a bunch of files and you don't know who they belong to. And in fact, let me show you where that would be. If we go back to code, if I'm not mistaken, this would be, well, I think this is taken care of by the file input. Let me check. So in pet resource, we have the form, and in the form, we have, where is it? File upload, image editor. Let me check file upload, the file upload input. We go to form builder, file upload. Let me make this a little bit bigger. There you go. Let's see. Configuring the storage disk and directory. Yeah, there you go. All you need to do is add this function. For example, we go back to pets and we say image, and then we call directory. We can say avatars. So every avatar file that we put in or we upload is going to go into storage, app, public, avatars. And then you have to make sure that you add that avatars folder when you call the storage delete. We have more people in the chat. Awesome. Virgil, I'm not even going to try your last name, but I'm going to call you Virgil. Hello from the Netherlands. Keep up the good work with these streams, of course. Thank you, my friend. I will keep up the good work as long as you keep showing up. Thank you so much. What time is it in the Netherlands? Is it afternoon or how is your day going? Huh? Let's see. Holako, I'm working on ERP API via Laravel. What's the best practice for storing? Let me go back to camera. Remind me to go back. What's the best practice for storing the CSV files and images? Well, I would say for images, what we're doing right now, it's totally fine. Best practices, I would say, keep the file sizes to, I would say, 2 megabytes or less, or even 5 megabytes. Right now, images are very big. So try to validate image sizes, so that someone doesn't come in and uploads 2 gigabyte image. And for CSVs, I would say try to implement something for the importing of the CSV file, because CSV files can be big. So try to use, I believe there is a technique called queuing, so that you can import the CSV file in batches. And maybe we can talk about that. Maybe I'll create a video or a short tweet about it. But yeah, try to import the CSV files. If you know they're going to be big, try to import them in batches so that you don't hog all the resources of the server. Vaughn, hello, my friend. Welcome back. I learned how to pronounce your name this time. Vaughn. Sorry. But yeah, thank you. Thank you for coming back. I'm very happy to see you. Virgil says it's evening, 21:51. That'll be 9 or 10 before 9, right? I'm very, very bad with 24-hour format. So I gather it's late at night, but I hope you're I hope you had a fantastic day and now you're just chilling in the stream. Thank you for being here. You haven't missed a thing. Well, yeah, a little bit, but you can DVR a little bit. We just made sure that we can delete files from the pets, and now we are making sure that the delete on Cascade works. Yeah, that's right. What Clifford said. Sava, greetings from Serbia. Oh my God, all around the world. This is blowing my mind. Thank you for being here. I'm glad to see you. How's your day going? Is it going okay? Are you having a fantastic day? Awesome. I'm so happy to have you here. Let's see. It would be nice to make a stream about filament table with import, export, Excel, and CSV. You're totally right. That's a great idea. Yeah, I'll make a note of that and maybe plan a stream in the future to just talk about importing and exporting tables to CSV files and even Excel. Thank you for the idea, my friend. All right, so let's keep it going. Remember to switch to your window. Excellent. Getting better. So yeah, we talked about the image editor or the file upload, changing the folder. And now let's check that. Let's just quickly check, because we have a lot to talk about and there is something very special I have planned for later on. So let's just get these little things out of the way. All right. Saludos desde Peru. Carlos, how are you doing, my friend? Thank you for joining us today. I do speak Spanish. That is my English is my second language. So, saludos. ¿Cómo está? I'm so glad you're here. Of course, my friend. I remember you because you were the first one in the chat last Saturday, and I butchered your name. So it stuck. But yeah, I'm glad you're here. Devjit, how are you doing from India? With love. I'm doing great, my friend. How are you doing? How is your day going? Are you having a fantastic day? I hope you are. Thank you for being here. So yeah, like I said, I have something planned for later on today. I don't want to go on to have a 3-hour session again because I know I want to respect people's time. So let's get this out of the way real quick. So Cascade on delete. We created a pet. If I remember correctly, we have Whiskers here, and we want to create an appointment for Whiskers. Devjit. So can I ask a question about Livewire widget? Add another widget of how many appointments? Yeah, that I do have an idea of adding that to the dashboard, like having a widget here so that we can say not just how many appointments, but how many pets, and also list out the appointments for the current day. We'll get to that, but thank you. So let's create a new appointment for Whiskers. New appointment. Let's say that appointment is, today is the 12th. Let's say tomorrow at 8 a.m. ending at 8:30 a.m. This will be for Whiskers, and let's say vaccination. Okay, so we have 2 appointments. Let's confirm right away. We have 2 appointments. And now if we go back to pets and we remove Whiskers again, confirm. If we go back to appointments, now we just have 1 appointment. So that's working. Awesome. Let's change the colors. Let's do a little bit of configuration. First, the colors. I want the color either blue, or it was a suggestion to have it green as well. So we'll try that. I want to change the icons for the resources as well, so that we don't have that stack of squares. And also the application name. So let's get those 3 out of the way real quick. Possible to add the dashboard, but the resource level. Can you elaborate a little bit more? Like, you want to see a widget at the resource level for how many? Is that what you're asking? Is that how I understand it? So you want to have not a global widget for the dashboard, but have a widget in the resource. Is that your question? I hope it is. I don't have anything planned to add any widgets to the resources themselves, because, and you'll see why in a minute, there is a big rework that I want to do, because I want to introduce a lot of cool concepts, and that will give me the opportunity to teach you more things about Filament. But I really need to get all of the little things first out of the way so that we can get to the fun stuff. But thank you. And yeah, we can get to that if that's important. We can try out adding widgets to resources at some point. Let's get the colors first. Let's go to resources. And where do we change the colors, you ask? Well, that is a configuration for the panel. So if we open every time you create a panel, you always have a panel service provider, and that is located in App, Providers, Filament, and since we just have one panel, then we just have one provider, and this is the default one, by the way. And here is where we can configure the colors. We have the ability to configure the primary color, the warning color, danger, pretty much all the colors that are in Filament, we can configure. Personally, I'm working on this moment on relation manager stuff. Also, nice thing. Yeah, that's a very nice thing to have relation managers on your resources. Very useful as well. Right now, I don't want to change too much. So let's just try a blue color for the primary. This color class, you can access all of the colors in the Tailwind CSS palette. Let's just change it to blue. I like it. I like it. It's not a big change, but at least it gives it a little a different feel. Let's see how it looks on dark mode. Yeah, it's good. Let's try green. Is there another green that we can use? I'm not a fan of these. Is it something like mint, maybe? Light green? No, lime. I think lime will be better. It wasn't. I'm not a fan. Can we check the color palette from Tailwind CSS real quick? Tailwind CSS. Let's see. Docs. Color. Customizing colors, maybe? Yeah, here it is. So we have slate, gray, zinc, something about green. Well, that lime I didn't like. We have green. Emerald? Emerald. Let's try emerald. See, I like that one better. Teal. Let's try teal. So right now, I like emerald. So that one's winning. Just to switch it up, let's try teal. They're very close. They're very close. I like it too. Let me check it out on light mode as well. I think I'm gonna stick with emerald for now, just so that we don't go into a tangent of colors and everything else. I am impressed how fast we can work on this. I am doing admin in Filament and API for any other React Native and Next.js front. Yeah, I know. When I started using it, like maybe 4 or 5 months ago, it blew my mind how fast you can just create an entire admin panel. And most of the time, I do have to create admin panels, and it was a chore. But with Filament, it was like this: 1, 2, 3. You have an admin panel, and all you have to do is start adding resources and start adding features to it. And the more I learn, the more I love it, and even more so with version 3. Okay, let's stick with emerald. And now let's go and change the icons for the resources real quick. So for appointments, I think a nice calendar would do. Let me go to hero icons because I always forget the names. Let me make this a little bit bigger. So for calendars, what do we have? Calendar days. Let's use that one. To change the icon of a resource, you just have to open the resource class. In this case, it'll be appointment resource. And at the top, you have this property called navigation icon. Right now it's the rectangle stack. Let's change that to calendar days. Days. Sorry, I always switch too fast. So calendar days. There you go. Now let's go back to the browser. Refresh. And there you go. I think for owners, maybe just a user. Yeah, user will do fine. So open the owner resource at the top, rectangle O, sorry, hero icon O, user. DR9 asks if you want to allow registration, it's set there too, correct? I am assuming you refer to the panel provider, but yes, if you want to allow users to register in your admin panel or your panel, all you do is you go to the you go to admin panel provider or whatever admin panel provider you have, and you just have to add one method called registration, like so. And just like that, when you log out from your panel, actually, let me show you. If we go back to the panel and we log out, now you have the option to sign up for an account like this. Not only that, and we are going to do this later, you can also customize this page. If, for example, your user has a phone number that you want to add, then you can customize this page and add as many fields as you need. So let's see. Could you go back? Oh, yeah, so sorry. Yes, I know. I'm blinding people right now. You're right. Admin, let me go back to dark mode. So sorry about that. Much better, right? Oof. How to manage roles and permissions? That's an excellent question. How do you manage roles and permissions for your application? Short answer is you have to do it yourself. There are many packages. For example, Spatty has a roles and permissions package that I think there is a plugin for Filament, or basically you have to implement roles and permissions yourself. And that's something that we are going to do actually, because I want to add roles and permissions. It's going to be a very simple role, user role relationship that we are going to have. And we are going to do that later. But thank you for your question. On the same place, you can reset password. I believe, yeah, you can add a reset password as well. Let me check. So login, registration, reset. To the reset? No. I think that's already included in the login page. I'm not sure. I'll look into it. Let me see. We still have so many people in the chat. Oh my God, this is awesome. Let's see. Can't wait to see you teach that. Yet stay till the end. I'm going to try to get it as soon as possible. I think we are already pretty much done with the little things, but I'm gonna try my best to get to it today. If not, I'm gonna keep doing live streams. Maybe I'll do another one midweek, or if not, maybe next Saturday. But stay tuned. Virgil, Filament has a plugin called Shield. I haven't looked into it. I think I saw I saw it in the plugins page, but I haven't tried it myself. Holako says, yes, I use Patty, but is it working in Filament? I believe it should. And like I said, if I'm not mistaken, I think there is a plugin for a Filament plugin for this Patty roles and permissions. By the way, I think there is this other creator called Designated Coder who created she has a playlist for Filament, and in one of her videos, I think she goes into roles and permissions. I'll try to post the link in the description of this video so that you can check that out. And also, but yeah, I think there is a plugin for it. Am I saying it right? Debjit? Are you going to use multiple panel, multiple dashboard, and gate every user role and send them to their desktop? Yes and no. Let me explain. I do plan to have multiple panels. That's something that you can do in version 3, for example. I want to have the ability to give owners their own dashboard so that they can log in and manage their pets and add appointments to their pets. But there, as far as I know, I haven't tried it or haven't looked into it, but you have to know the URL for your dashboard. If an owner, for example, if there's an owner and that owner tries to log in into the doctor's dashboard, for example, the only thing that they're going to get is it's an error saying that their credentials don't match. I haven't looked into automatic redirection when you log in, because the way that Filament works is that you can have multiple panels and those panels have their own URL and login screen. But that I'm going to cover. Yes, I'm going to have multiple panels and I'm going to have multiple dashboards. Not only that, if I ever get to it, sorry, if I ever get to it, I want to also have multi-tenancy. And that's something I think we can get to today, meaning that we can have not just one clinic, but multiple clinics, and the resources for those clinics will be separated as well. Saba says, password reset. Let me check. Password reset. There it is. You're genius. So that's a function for resetting your password. Thank you. It would be super cool if you make it like a playlist for how to create a full panel using Filament. That's what I'm doing, my friend. I started basic, and I want to take this project and make a full admin panel with multi-tenancy, multi-role, multi-user. I want to take it to something that is actually close to real life useful. I know. And I realized that midway when I was typing, did I forget again? And I sneakily went back to the screen. But thank you. You guys are keeping me on my toes. Thank you so much. Okay, so we have the little things. We have the customization. We have the colors. We have the icons. Let's change the application name because I'm tired of seeing Laravel. It's a pet clinic. So let's open the .env file and change this to pet clinic. Oh, what happened? Did I lose the page? Did I lose the server? What's going on? What's happening? Let me check. Oh, yeah. You have to be, that's awesome that we can see this live. Did you see me change the name in the .env file to pet clinic like this? You can't have spaces in your .env file. If you're going to have spaces on your .env file, you need to wrap them in double quotes. Yep, that's correct. Thank you, Dejit. Thank you, Dejit. Please tell me if I'm saying it right. I'm going to look it up later, but is it Dejit? You can't write like this in env. Yep, I know. I did it so fast, I forgot. But thank you. You guys are geniuses. Debjit. Debjit. Thank you so much. I'll remember. Debjit. So we have, I fixed that already. Let me just make sure that the server is running again. And it is. So we should be able to see our admin panel again in this beautiful emerald color. Let's log back in. All right. I think we got the little things out of the way. Let's move on to the fun stuff. And let me show you what I mean. This is the new database schema. And you will notice it has a lot of new stuff. Previously, this basic version that we're working on, it has only 3 tables: owners, pets, and appointments. But as I mentioned before, I want to have multi-tenancy, multiple clinics for multiple resources, for people to have, for doctors to belong to many different clinics. Come to India for next LATACon. I would love to. I was thinking about that, what was it, 2 days ago? How fun it would be to go to one of those. I saw the videos. It was so fun. I want to go to one. I'll keep it in mind. Thank you. So we want multi-tenancy. And for that, we need a new table to hold our tenants. In this case, our tenants are clinics. So we need a table for that. Also, we want to introduce roles as well. So we need a new table for roles. We want to modify the users table because now we are going to have different kinds of users. We're going to have owners, doctors, staff, administrators. So all of those will be in one table, the users table. That DB sketch looks great. I know, right? I'm trying out a new application called drawsql.app or .app, which is made in Laravel. So we're staying in the Laravel ecosystem. And yeah, the only thing I'm not a fan of is I don't have the ability to move the lines. So this line here from appointments to clinic appointment, it's giving me a little bit of anxiety. I'm like super, I would have it go around like below this pets table. So that's one thing that I don't like, but anything else I really like. So yeah, we're going to have to modify the users table. We are going to modify the appointments table because now that we are going to introduce doctors, doctors can create slots or time slots where they say, and those time slots will be used to book appointments in. So when we book an appointment, all we have to do is select the pet, select the doctor, and when we select a doctor, we'll have a list of time slots for appointments, and we select one of those, and we create an appointment. So the appointment does not longer need to have the date, the start, and the end time. What else do we need? I think that's the most of it. So why don't we start with this? We have, or at least at this point, I have the luxury to not have the database in production or have a lot of data in the database, so I can go back to the original migration files. I can edit those and then wipe the database clean, create it again with everything that I need. So that's what I'm going to do now. Let's go to our terminal and let's create a few more things. Let's start with the clinics table. We need a new model and a new migration. So let's do make model clinic. Whoa, what is that? Clinic. And give me a migration file as well. And let's keep creating models. We need one more. Let's go from left to right, top to bottom. I guess it would be a veterinarian or a vet than a doctor. Yeah, you're right. I'm calling it doctor to be general, to be generalistic. But yeah, it'll be a vet in this case. It'll be a pet doctor. Let's see, top to bottom, we need a roles table. So let's create that. PHP artisan make model row. We need 3 more tables, and these tables will be used for multi-tenancy. And let me explain why. In Filament version 3, in order to have multi-tenancy, we need to have the relationship between the clinic or the tenant and whatever resource we have within that tenant has to be a belongs to many relationship. And we are going to delve into more details about that. But for us to have multi-tenancy, we need pivot tables between clinic and user, between clinic and pets, between clinic and appointments, so that those resources will be separated by their corresponding tenant, in this case, the clinic. So let's start with user. So we need a table called clinic user. Holako noob, what does multi-tenancy means? That's an excellent question. Multi-tenancy means that in your panel, in your admin panel, you can have multiple buckets for the resources that panel has. Let me be more specific. Teams. Have you seen how Slack, for example, in Slack, you are allowed to have multiple or belong to multiple teams within Slack, so that you can have team members on different teams, right? So the team in this case is a tenant. And a tenant is just a word to describe a box where you have all of your resources and that belong to that tenant or to that team or to that clinic or whatever you want to call it. So that's basically what multi-tenancy is. It's just a way to have different places to separate your resources into. Can be teams, can be clinics, can be companies, etc. I hope I answered your question. I know it's a bit of a loaded subject, but yeah, that's the way I understand it. Let's see, what do we need next? So we need to create these 3 pivot tables. So let's start with clinic user. We don't need a model because the model, this is just for the relationship. So we only need a migration file. I'm not sharing my screen, am I? Now I am. When you show the database diagram, you had the pivot table clinic appointment, but the convention is alphabetical. Oh, you got to it first and you got to it before me. You beat me to the punch. I know. I was going to make that point, but yeah, you are totally right. The convention is alphabetical. So if you have a relationship, and I forgot to update the schema. Thank you for reminding me. When you have belongs to many relationships and you have pivot tables, the relationship between the tables is always alphabetical. So Laravel is going to say which table goes first. In this case is appointment clinic, AC. If you have a relationship between, let me show the schema again. When the relationship is between clinics and users goes last because it's alphabetical. Same way with pets. So yeah. I didn't know that until yesterday. I was thinking about how does Laravel figure out which table goes first? Alphabetically, of course. Yes, I noticed. Thank you, Saba. I didn't know that, Willie. Yeah, me neither. Like I said, I was thinking about that yesterday and I started to tinker. And specifically with that table, I was like, is it going to work? How does it know? How does it know which one goes first, which one goes last? And yeah, alphabetically. We always learn something new. Back to the terminal, create clinic. What was it? Clinic user, sorry. Create clinic user table. And we add table clinic user. So that's one pivot. The next one is for pet and clinic. So create clinic pet table. The table name, clinic pet. And last one is I'll check the chat in just a second. Let me just finish with this one. This table needs to be called appointment clinic. So let's create that pivot table. Appointment clinic table. Appointment clinic table. Okay. Let me get to this question real quick. Devjit, relationships are so confusing sometimes. Who has many and what belongs to many. Yeah, I know it can be a little bit confusing, and unfortunately, the way that multi-tenancy works right now, it's actually going to throw you another curveball later on, but I'll clarify more when we get to it. But yeah, I know relationships they have gotten better over time, but they are still a little bit confusing. Hopefully I'll do my best to explain them in the best way that I can. By the way, guys, if you are finding this stream helpful, don't forget to click that like button. It really helps. So smash it. So we have all of our pivot tables. Now we are going to modify the user table because we want to add a phone to it. Not only that, we want to also add a role ID to that table. So let's go back to VS Code. Let me clean this up. And let's open the create user migration. Located in database, migrations, create users table. I know it's been quite difficult. I'm gonna try to get to it, at least to get the multi-tenancy set up. Let me speed it up a little bit, but yeah, I know. I'm sorry if I'm keeping you up. But if you really need to go to bed, this video is going to stay on my channel, so you can rewatch it tomorrow or whenever you have time. So if you feel like it's way too late, 2 a.m. is actually too late, to be honest. So if you feel like you need to go, don't worry. Just hit the like button, and you can come back tomorrow and watch the whole thing. So yeah. Phone 3 a.m. for me, guys. Take a nap. Oh my god. I know. It's late, but take care of yourselves. Don't stay up too late. You're not gonna be young forever. You need 6 hours of sleep. So again, if you need to go to sleep, please. Don't let me keep you awake and chip away at your health. So if you need to sleep, go to sleep. You can come back tomorrow. No worries. So what do we need in the users table? We need one more column. Sava says is 10:30 for me. 10:30 is fine, right? 10:30 is not so late. So table. This is going to be a string. Phone. Shall I make it nullable? It would be desirable, but no. It's going to be required. I will definitely watch it more than one time. This is gold content. Thank you so much. I really appreciate you saying that, to be honest. Thank you. Thank you so much. And yeah, watch it until your eyes burn. Tomorrow is Sunday. I will wake up late. You're right. YOLO, right? You only live once. Stay up all night, learn Laravel and multi-tenancy. So we need one more column here for the user, and that is we want to relate this to the role model, which we created, right? I believe so. Let me check. Role. Yeah, we did. So we want a foreign ID. Role ID. That's the name of the column. And this will be, Jesus Christ, I forgot how to type. Constrained to the roles table. like so. Okay, I think that's all we need for the users table. We need one more model for the slots table. Let's go and create that. So PHP artisan make, let me clear the screen. PHP artisan make model slot with migration. All right. What more? What else? I'm going to work on all of those new migration files in just a second. I want to get these models out of the way. Pets and appointments. We need to make a slight change to the pets model, and then to the appointment. So let's start with pets. Open the pet model. And the change that I want to make is on the owner relationship, because we no longer, or we are no longer going to have an owner table. It's going to be on the users table, and we are going to have users that are owners. So instead of relating this owner, or instead of having a relationship to the owner table, let's change that to user. And since I'm going to keep the column name as owner ID, I need to tell Laravel that this is the column for the foreign key, because it's not standard. Okay, that's all for pet. Now let's work on the appointment. Let's open the migration file for creating the appointments table. We no longer need the date, or do we? No, because the time slot has the date. Sorry, a little bit of water, stay hydrated. So we don't need date, start, and end. We do need the description. And we need the pet ID, yes. And we need one more foreign ID for the slot, is it? Let me check. Yeah, slot ID. Table, foreign ID, slot ID, constrained to slots. All right. I think that's all for appointments. Phone, sorry. Jesus. Phone. Why we need to pass roles in constraint? I think that's optional. Yeah, you're right. I mean, when we define the foreign ID, again, Laravel is going to go by standard and find that table that belong to that constraint. It's more of a personal thing, just so when I come back to this code 2 months, 3 months from now, I don't have to guess where this foreign ID belongs to, or where this foreign ID is pointing to what table. So I just like to have it there for my own benefit. Adriano Oliveira, it's 5:38 for me. It's early still, and it's Saturday. Come on, you can do it. Congratulations on the content. Greetings from Brazil. Hello, my friend from Brazil. Thank you for joining me again. I think you were in the previous stream, didn't you? I remember someone from Brazil and last name Oliveira. If you weren't, I'm sorry. But I think I remember someone from Brazil. I think it was you. Are you having a fantastic day? Are you? I hope you are. Thank you for joining me. So we're done with appointments. So I think we are done with the modifications to the previous migration files. So let's start working on the new migration files because we have plenty. And let's start with the easy one, clinic. Create clinics table. Very simple. All we need is a string table, string column for the name. Willie, there is also, hey Willie, how you doing? There is also this syntax which is kind of way more fluent in my opinion. Table, foreign ID for, ooh, I didn't know about that one. I like it. Foreign ID for the user class. So it's going to just give me a column name as a standard. Huh. Yeah, you're right. That's very, very much more fluent. Thank you. Thank you for that tip. No, that's not just 2 cents. That's gold, my friend. That's a very good tip. Thank you. I learned something new from you today. Thank you so much. So clinics, phone, will that slow when we run? That is slow when we run db seed. Interesting. So it is more fluent, but we pay a price in speed. I don't think it'll be that much slow, will it? I mean, at least not enough to say, well, it depends on how big your database seed is. I'm just guessing. I've never used that format before. But thank you for the warning. Let's work on the roles migration. Let's see. Create roles table. And let me save this, by the way. For the roles, I just need a name and a description. So 2 string columns. Name and description. And let's work on clinic. Let's just finish this row and I'll go back to the chat in a moment. Let's finish this row of migration files. Clinic user. We just need 2 foreign IDs. And let's try Willie's way. Foreign ID 4. This will be for, let's try it. Let's go for clinics first. Clinic class. And another one for the user. And I think that's all I need for this one. Let's go for clinic pet. And one more for pet. Okay. Next on the list, appointment clinic. Again, and one for an ID for clinic. And one for appointments. All right. Now that I'm done with this row, let's go back to the chat real quick. Willie, that's a price I'd be paying 9 out of 10 times. I'm okay with waiting additional few milliseconds, but yeah, you might be right. Yeah, sometimes you are willing to pay the price of a few milliseconds just for the clarity of the code. And I'm always for clarity. Even if, for example, I have a code that I hate one-liners, for example. So I will create 3-4 variables if I have to, just to be descriptive. If that it makes the code to be a little bit more bloated, I'm okay, because again, when you come back to your code 5 months from now and you see that one-liner that is objectively cool, but you don't remember what it's doing. So yeah, I always like to pay the price of, if I have to wait a little bit more, but the code is more clearer, that's also fine by me. So we have all this row. We modify the users. Let's work on slots. Create slots table. What do we need here? We need date, start and end, and status. Table date. This will be a date column called date. We need another one for start. Table time start. And one more for end. Let's add a string column for the, what was it? Status, right? Yeah, status. Table string status, and one foreign ID. Sorry, table foreign ID for the user. Now, when the column name is not standard, we pass a column name in the second parameter. Gotcha. So this will be for the user class. And the column name is owner ID. What is the status for? I hear no one asking. If you notice this relationship, this is a one-to-one relationship. And that's not technically what it is, but that's how I'm going to make it. Because when you, let's start with from the doctor's point of view. A doctor can create many time slots for have appointments or to have appointments. But once a slot, so he creates various slots for the day. But once a slot is being assigned to an appointment, it cannot be assigned anymore or cannot be assigned to another appointment. So the status for the slot is either open or available, or it's either available or reserved. So no slot can be assigned to multiple appointments. One appointment, one slot. What else? So we created clinics. We have all of these tables, migrations. We have the users modified. We have slots as well. I think we worked on pets too. But did we add the owner ID to the migration? I think we did. Jesus, I can't remember. Create pets table. We didn't. Well, we did. We do have the owner ID, so we don't have to change that. Okay, I think we are done with migrations. The next thing that we need to do, since we have a bunch of new tables, we have to make sure that the relationships are in place. And I know this part is a little bit boring, but once you do it, you don't have to worry about it. Sorry, you don't have to worry about it anymore. So let's work from left to right, starting with clinics. Clinic has many users, and we'll do the opposite. User belongs to many clinics. So let's create a public function called users. And this is a belongs to many relationship. So we need to return this belongs to many users. Now let's do the opposite on the user side. We need another public function called clinics. Again, this is a belongs to many. Belongs to many clinics. All right, so we have that. Now we need another relationship between clinic and pets. And here is where the curveball comes. And I'll show you why. Remember that we are making these relationships to work with multi-tenancy. So keep that in mind. Let's start with clinic. Public function. Ooh, don't want that. Pets, right? Belongs to many. Not retry, return. This belongs to many pets. And now we do the opposite. Ooh, not user, pet. Public function. And logic would say that the relationship, if this is a belongs to many relationship, logic dictates that the relationship name should be what? Clinics, right? Wrong. Because Filament apparently is looking for a relationship that is called clinic, singular. Even though this is a belongs to many relationship. I'm guessing that this is because Filament will separate resources by tenancy, and it doesn't make sense that the same resource, in this case, let's call it a pet, it doesn't make sense that the same pet will be shared among multiple clinics. If you want to have the same pet on another clinic, just create the record again. I guess pets is not a good example, maybe an appointment or a time slot. It doesn't make sense to have the same appointment in two different clinics. And I guess that's the train of thought behind behind the relationship name. The JIT, what I do is camel case for relationships, and you're doing great because that's the Laravel standard, I believe. But yeah, the logic in this case would say, and I had that mistake, I created a clinics relationship for my pet, but Filament is looking for a relationship called clinic singular, even though it's a belongs to many. Fun. I think you can use polymorph many to many for clinic. I don't know, to be honest. Probably so, but I already tested this and it worked. So I would look into testing this more with a polymorph off stream, but just in the interest of time, thank you very much for the tip. But in the interest of time, I'm going to stick with clinic belongs to many. That cool? All right. So here, let's return this belongs to many clinic. So we have the relationship between clinic and pet. Now we need another one for appointments. Again, belongs to many. Return appointment class. Now let's open appointment. We need another public function. And let's call it again clinic. Belongs to many. Return this belongs to many clinic. Okay. Let me go back to the diagram, see what else do we need. So we have this relationship, we have this relationship, we have clinic and appointment relationship. I do believe we have the pets user. Let's work on user role. So let's open user, create a public function role, and I'm going to make it so that a user can have only one role at this point. So a user can either be a doctor, an owner, an admin, or staff. So role, this is belongs to. So return this belongs to role. And the opposite would be on role. So public function users. This is a has many relationship. So return this has many user. All right, we are making progress. So we have roles, users. Now let's work on, and we also have pets and users. We modified that already. Let's work on slots and appointments. So let's open slots first. So public function slot. Okay, so public function appointment. This is where I'm going to say that this is a has one. See if that works. Oh, sorry, boinked the microphone. All right, so has one. Return this has one appointment. Now, I rarely work with has with one-to-one relationships. So do we need foreign keys on both tables? Is that how it works? It just popped into my head that maybe that's how it works, and maybe it's not going to work like this because I only have the foreign key in the appointments table. So I'm not sure if I do need a foreign ID in the slots table as well. Do you guys, let's just read the documentation as always, best source. So let's see, 1-to-1. Very basic type of database relationship. The user model might be associated with one phone model. To define this relationship, you will place a phone method, user model. The phone method should be as one. Yeah, I did that. Doesn't say anything. Additionally, Eloquent assumes that the foreign key should have a value matching the primary key. Yeah, I know. So it's going to look for the user ID column in the phone record. So yeah, I think that we're going to go with a has many, even though it's a one-to-one. Since I don't have a foreign key, let me show you. Where did it go? Oh, here. So in order, I think that and correct me if I'm wrong, I might be wrong about this, but a one-to-one relationship or a has one relationship always looks for the foreign key in the same table. So if I go to the slots model and I define a has one appointment, I am going to need an appointment ID in the slots table. Same thing in the appointments table. If I say appointments has one slot, I already have a slot ID in that appointments table. So in order for me to know to go back, in order for me not having to go back to the migrations, I'm going to stick with has many. I will make sure that the slot does not get assigned to, or sorry, I will make sure that the appointment or the slot is only assigned to one appointment. But that is going to be programmatically. So has many appointment. Let me get rid of this. Has one. Now let's open the appointment model. We need a public function slot, and this is a belongs to relationship. So return this belongs to slot. Okay. So we have a relationship between slots and appointments, between pets and appointments, users and roles. Do we have one for slot and user? Let me check. So slot, we don't. We need one. Wait. Yeah, we need one. So public function user or owner. Let's call it owner. What did we call it in the case of clinic? We said users, but how about pets? In pets, we call it owner, right? We did. So let's do the same thing for slot, just to be consistent. So owner. Belongs to return this belongs to user. Okay. I think that's all of them, if I'm not mistaken. So at this point, let me just check how long have we been streaming for. We do have a few more minutes. I want to cut it at 2 hours today so that I don't keep you here for too long. We can always come back next week and work more. But the one thing that I do want to cover today is setting up multi-tenancy. So let's do that. How do we set up multi-tenancy? According to the documentation in the panel builder, let me make this a little bit bigger. The panel builder down in multi-tenancy, the way that we set up this for users at least, and I think that's the only thing that we actually have to set up, is that first of all, we need to add this to our panel service provider. So let's do that. I'm going to copy this, even though it's not team. Go back to the panel service provider. And let's add it right before colors. I hit Control C again. Never mind. Let's do it like this. Tenant. And here we pass the model name that is going to act as our tenant. the example said the example used teams. In our case, it's clinic. So clinic class. Okay, that's one part. The other part is that we have to modify the user's model to extend or implement both has tenants and filament user. I think filament user is not required, but we are going to implement it because that's going to give us a function that will allow us to authenticate the user or give authorization for the user to access this panel. So back to the user model. Let's go back to the top. Windows V shows a clipboard, saves me a lot of time. It does? Yeah, but the thing is, you know how you lost some, you hit Control C, and then when you get to the point where you want to paste the code, you hit Control C again. It drives me crazy. That's a few seconds of your life you're never getting back. But thank you. That's a good tip. Windows V. Oh, nice. I didn't know that. So we're in the user model, and in the user model, in order to configure this for multi-tenancy, we have to implement both has tenants, and we are also going to implement filament user. Now the important one here is the has tenants. In order for this to work, we need to implement the two methods, can access tenant and get tenants. So let's start with get tenants. Let's go back to the bottom and let's add a public function get tenants. And this should return an array or a collection. So what do we return here? We need to return all of the tenants or all of the clinics this user belongs to. We do that with return this clinics, like so. So that's just a way for Filament to verify, okay, this user, what are the clinics this user belongs to at the time of login? And what are the clinics this user will be able to access once inside the admin panel? The other method that we need to implement is the can access tenant. So let's do that. We need another public function can access tenant, and what we need to do here is return a boolean, so whether or not this user has access to this clinic. And how do we determine if the user has access to this clinic? Well, it basically belongs to that clinic. So if the clinic it's in the collection of clinics this user belongs to, then it has access. And as you can see, we are being passed in a tenant as a model. And this tenant is the actual clinic that we are checking for authorization. So what we can do is return these clinics, and this gives us a collection of clinics, and the collection has a method called contains. And to contains, we can pass the tenant that we were passed into the method, sorry. So what are we doing here? Well, we are just returning all of the clinics this user belongs to, and we are checking that if we are checking that the current clinic we are checking configuration for it's within the clinics this user belongs to. I hope that makes sense. So yeah, that's multi-tenancy for the user. And I think that's all that we need to configure for this user. Now, we have the migrations, we make modifications to the migration file, but since I'm going to have to wipe out the database, I don't really want to recreate all of the users, at least. And also I want to have a set of users available for me whenever we start whenever we wipe out the database. I'm doubting that we are going to have to do it just once. So for that, let me create a couple of database seeders. So let's go back to the terminal. How much time do we have? 15 minutes. I think that's enough. Actually, let me, just to speed things up, let me go back to, let me check my notes real quick. Okay. Back to the terminal. Let's start with a clinic seeder so that we can create a clinic right away. So let's say PHP artisan make seeder clinic seeder. And these seeders, by the way, are located inside database seeders. In here we can, let's say, do we use factories or not? Not for this one. Let's just go with the database. So DB, I have to import this class, DB, table, clinics, insert. Yeah, Phone is making a good point. Don't make seeder, make factory. Yes, I might have to use both because for the users, for example, I'm not gonna make inserts right to the database. I might use a factory within the seeder, and I'll show you in a second. But thank you. But for clinics, I just have one record that I want to add, so I'm going to add it as an insert. Let's call it Clinic A. Very descriptive. Now let's make another seeder for the users. Actually, no. Let's make one for the roles. Let's see. That's personal. What do you mean? Did I offend you in some way? I'm so sorry. I mean, we can use both migrations and factories. That's just my opinion. I don't know. I'm sorry. didn't want to get too personal. And yeah, Willie coming in saying make both. Yep, I'm gonna make both. In fact, for roles, I'm gonna make a factory for roles, and then I'm gonna make a seeder for it. So yeah. Oh, personal preference. Oh, thank you. I was worried that I somehow offended you in some way. But okay, so yeah, it's personal preference. You're right. So let's make a seeder for roles. Role seeder. And then let's make a factory for it. You don't like too many seeders files in your app? Yeah, I know. It can lead to some clutter. But then again, in this project, we have the luxury that the project is not too big. If the project has had like 15 different tables and we needed seeders for all of them, yeah, I totally agree. That would be a bad choice. Willie, on downside, I think when using DB in the seeder is that you can't take advantage of eloquent events, or can you? I don't think you can. Actually, if you're using DB, you're sending data straight to the database and you don't have the ability to tap into lifecycle hooks of the events. Oh, sorry, on the models. You're right. But since the clinic seeder was so simple, I didn't see a point of making a seeder and a factory for it. So I stuck with the DB for that one, just for that one. So we have role factory, we have role seeder. Let's go work on that. So I don't think I'm gonna need more on the factory side. Let me see. What do we have for roles? Let me check the diagram real quick. Roles, only name and description. Yeah, I don't think I'm gonna have anything on the factory side other than the usability of creating multiple records, but yeah. So let's say role seeder. So role, factory, let's make, how many do we need? We need admins, we need owners, doctors, and staff. So we need 4 roles. Well, it is an option. You can do that, of course, but if you have multiple seeders and your main database seeder may get a little bloated. Again, it's personal preference. If you prefer to do it that way, it's fine. You just have to be careful that you don't make a huge seeder in one file, because again, you may come back later and you will have a hard time deciphering what you were doing in that file if it gets too big. So we need 4 roles, and let's say I'm going to make a sequence for those. So state new sequence, and in this sequence we are going to have 4 arrays. First one will be name, let's say admin, and description, admin user. Second one, let's say this is for doctors. So doctor. Ooh. I'm we're gonna call it pet doctor or vet if you prefer that. And then we are going to, what else do we need? So admin, doctor, owner. So we need owner. And the description will be pet owner. And finally, we need final row for staff. Never forget to add the create at the end. Okay, that's roles. Let's work on users. Let's create a seeder for the user. All right. I think the main database seeder has some code that I want to use. Maybe not. Let's see, let me check the chat real quick. So yes, that's right. I can I not call a single seeder to make some entry too? I think you can, but the way that we're going to do it, it's going to be a little, you'll see, it's in my opinion, it looks cleaner where you have a main seeder that calls the other seeders instead of having a bunch of factory calls in the same seeder. You'll see. I use command php end of line. What was that for? For the seeder? I don't know. Willie says you can get pretty creative with seeder. For instance, I like to call all my seeders in the main seeder with this call with. That's something similar that I'm going to do. Call with my seeder class, count 10, passing a count to the underlying factory. That's interesting. No, what the way that I'm going to do it is in the main database seeder, I'm just gonna say this call and then pass an array of all of the seeders that I'm going to use, the seeder classes. But yeah, that's an interesting one. I didn't know that you can pass a count to the underlying factory. Thank you. Man, you guys are smart. You should be the one giving the stream, I think. We have learned so much. Okay, what were user? We were working on user. Okay, so I want to create initially. Let's just create one admin user. We are running out of time, and I want to actually show you guys what the multi-tenancy look like. So I'm just going to create one admin user, and then in the next stream we can work a little bit more on creating more users. And we're going to have registration on our panel, so we can modify that to add a way for the user to register to an existing clinic. But for now, let's just say user factory. Did I not import? Yeah, I didn't. Okay, user factory. State. And let's say, no, actually, you just say create and pass in the data that is not currently in the default factory. I want to make YouTube channel, but I don't speak English so much. You don't have to. I mean, you could create a YouTube channel if you don't see many creators on your own language. You can totally tap into that and then add closed captions to your videos for English. So you can totally create a YouTube channel, make it your language, and then add closed captions for English. Just an idea. Don't limit your if you want to do it, you can. All you have to do is make the first step. Start making videos. And don't worry about the quality of the videos at first, because your first 2, 3, 4 videos, and it's nothing personal, but your first 2 videos are going to suck. Don't worry about it. Just make them. Turn on the camera. Record something. If you feel that you can add value to your community in your language, in your own country, go ahead and do it. Don't wait. See, you can start a YouTube channel in your own language. I thought about starting my YouTube channel once in Spanish as well, and I could. At this point, I could have a separate channel just for Spanish-speaking developers. There's always a niche you can tap into. Your first 20 videos will be worse. Well, maybe not 20. If by your 10th video you don't see an improvement, maybe there's something else you can do. But yeah, I mean, your first videos will always be crap. So yeah, let's go create here on the user. And what I want to do is say, let's say role ID. So I need this user to have role. And let's just say role. Don't need to really go that far. The role is going to be, well, I need the role ID actually. So yeah, role where name admin first, and then I just need the ID on this one. Yeah, that's a great tip. Whatever you do, zoom in. Whatever you're looking at the screen, zoom in. Am I not zoomed in enough? You guys, please tell me. Is my zoom level enough? Because I do have that problem when I watch tutorials and the guy is sharing something on the screen, and most of the time people watch on their phone, but sometimes even on PC, I have the hardest time, and they have a big screen on light mode, like white background, very small font, and I'm like, what are you sharing? But yeah, zoom in and make sure that the contrast is comfortable to everyone's eyes. Looks great on my phone. Oh, okay, thank you, perfect. Willie, it's good. Thank you, Willie. And phone, you okay? Thank you, guys. I'm doing this for you, so let me know. Well, that's just bragging. Watching on a 4K 49-inch TV here. Jeez. Living the big life, the man here. Well, I'm glad you're enjoying it. And yeah, I'm sure you're gonna have no problem seeing the screen. All right, so we create a user and we set the role ID to whatever role name is admin. That should do it. Phone, we need phone as well. So let me take this to one line below. This as well. We have the role ID, and we need a phone number. Let's just go with 555-555-1234. I know, right? That's like watching in a complete cinema for yourself. But that's awesome. I mean, I'd like to do that too. Yeah, that's a problem. The bigger the TV, the bigger my face is going to be. I'm sorry. So sorry for that. I apologize. Let's save this, save the database seeder as well. Now here I'm going to call first, let's call the clinic seeder. Oh, that's another thing. I have to assign a user to this clinic. So we first call, let's just figure out the order of this. So clinic class. Actually, it should be user first. No, role first, then user, and then clinic, because I'm going to go back to the clinic, and after I create a clinic, let's do this. Clinic first, since we're going to have only one. And let's say users, attach. Is it attach? I think it is attach. Might be wrong. I think you're supposed to call seeder as opposed to that model in this call. You think? I believe, if I'm not mistaken, you can pass an array of strings, and those strings are the class names. I tested it before and it worked. So I think this is going to work. So this call can take an array of string class names. So if I pass it like this, I think it's going to work. Unless you're referring to something else. But let's see. If I have an error, all we have to do is debug. Oh, right. Those class should be seeders. Thank you. Yeah, I'm calling them models. That's going to do absolutely nothing. Thank you so much. So first one is role seeder. Then user seeder. And then clinic seeder. So I was saying, in here, I want to, once I create the clinic, I'm going to take the first one, access the user's relationship, and just attach a user ID. So let's go with 1. It's not exactly great, but it's gonna work. We can rework this later. I just want to move a little bit faster so that we can show the multi-tenancy working by the end of the stream. How much time do we have by now? We're already 10 minutes over, but we are almost done, okay? Let's go ahead and clear this, and I'm going to run all the migrations, refresh the database, and run the seeders all at once. I'm sure it's going to be fine. PHP Artisan, migrate, fresh, seed. Yeah, of course. Let's see. App model user contains one abstract method and must therefore be declared abstract or implement the renaming method. Did I miss? Oh, right. I missed one method in the user model. Let's go back to that. Because I use the filament user class, I must implement the public function can access panel. This is a Boolean. Later on, we are going to have different access for different users to different panels. But for now, let's just return true and let's get over it. Let's move forward. We'll come back to this later. For now, everyone can access all the panels. All right, let's try that again. New error. No such table clinic user. Really? Did I name this wrong? Create clinic user table. Failed. No such table clinic user connection. Alter table clinic user, add column clinic ID. Interesting. I think the schema for that migration is trying to alter a table instead of creating one, and I didn't notice. So create, right, because of the command that I used. Create, what's the table name again? User table. Clinic user table, sorry. See, it's using schema table instead of, if we take a look at another one, schema create. And I think I did the same for all of the, no, this one's fine. This one's not. Clinic user. Clinic pet, same problem. I think it was because of the command that I used for creating the migration. Let's fix this real quick. So clinic user, instead of table, it's create. Same parameters. Create clinic pet also. Appointment clinic as well. And which one? Well, I think those three. Let's try that again, see if we get a different error this time. All right, that was easier than I thought. Perfect. So we have all the tables that we need, and we should have users in our table. Let me check. PHP Artisan Tinker user all. Yes, we do have one user called Justin Stanton, whatever that is, with a role ID of 1, which is an admin. Problem is, I'm going to have to use this for logging in, which is annoying, but let's do it. Make sure that the server is running. For consistency, you should rename the down methods to create instead of table. Yeah, I know. I promise I'll have everything consistent by next stream. I'm gonna work on cleaning a few of those things, but I just want to get the tenancy working. But yeah, of course, totally agree. So the server is running. Let's go back to the browser real quick. Back to our pet clinic. We refresh. It should log me out. Oop, what's going on? This happens sometimes. You just have to refresh again. When you mess with the database, I guess there is some cache data. So as soon as you refresh, that error goes away. So let's log in with this user. Password is always password. And if we sign in, there you go. What's multi-tenancy and what's the big reveal? You now have a tenant name in the side menu. If there were many clinics, then you would be able, and there were many clinics that you have access to or your user has access to, then you would be able to switch between clinics in this matter. And because tenancy is working, when you create appointments, when you create owners. See, this is the error that I saw before. The owner model does not have a relationship name called clinic. So we missed that one. Let's fix that real quick before we finish. So let's go back to owner. And that's right, we don't have a relationship called clinic. So public function clinic, which has to be a belongs to many. Belongs to many clinic. No such stable clinic owner. Oh. Because we named the relationship owner. Okay, all right. And this is on owners clinics. What is this happening? So we're in owners. Do we have to change the name of that table? Why is it calling it owners? Why am I an owner, by the way? Oh, because I didn't, yeah, okay. All right, so this is the problem. This owner is a, yeah, I know. The thing is, let me go back real quick to appointments. The previous version of this pet clinic had owners, but now it's users. So I do have to work on removing the owners resource because right now the owners are users. So I have to work on that a little bit more, but let's say pets, for example. By the way, we didn't change the icon for pets. But talking about pets, whenever you create a pet, whenever you create an appointment, that pet, that appointment belongs to this clinic. If you move to another clinic, even though it's the same user, that clinic will not show those pets or those appointments or those owners for that matter. So everything is separated and it works automatically. Filament is going to take care of dividing your resources whenever you create one and putting them in the clinic that they belong to. So that's multi-tenancy in Filament. And that's what I wanted to show you guys. I think, again, thank you so much for everyone. I think I don't want to take more time out of you. 2 hours is more than enough, and we have we made good progress. So we're going to leave it here, And in the next stream, which I believe is going to be next week, I'll let you know by Wednesday if we can make it. Good night from Spain. Thank you, Eduardo. Thank you for showing up. So yeah, we're going to leave it here. I'm going to do some cleaning up, fixing the owner's resource, fixing the consistency in the migrations. And in the next stream, we are going to work on not just multi-tenancy at the clinic level, but also at the user level. And we are going to add multiple panels so that we have a panel for owners and, and a panel for doctors. And we are going to let doctors create slots, manage appointments, and let owners manage their pets and create appointments. So we're going to do that next week. Thank you guys for showing up. Thank you Clifford. Thank you Phone. Thank you DR9. Thank you Willie, Devjit. Thank you everyone. Have a great night, and I'll see you soon in the next one.